In today's video, we're going to be creating a super simple and fun easel card. And the stamp sets that I'm going to be using today are by Visible Image. And this is the Daisy Grunge stamp set. Then we have the Be Happy. Before we get started, I just want to show you close up how well made these stamp sets are. If you peel it up, you can see they're nice and thick and really well made. And for the Be Happy stamp set, there's so much detail in the bees and the other elements. They're just really great quality stamps. For my card base, I'm going to be using the Stampin' Up! Paper trimmer. And what's lovely about this particular paper trimmer is it's got a scorer and the cutter on it, making card bases really fast and easy. So we got our 8.5 by 11 sheet of cardstock here, and we're going to score it at 5.5. I'm going to bring it out of the trimmer and we're going to fold it. Once it's folded, we're going to put it right back in the paper trimmer and we're going to slice it at 4¼ inches. And what you're left with is two perfect easel card bases that stand up just like that. Once we have our easel card base, now we're going to need to put a score line halfway through this. So I'm going to pop this right back into my paper trimmer and I am going to score this at 2¾ inches. So I'll bring up my scoring blade just like that and put a score line in it, and then I'm going to crease it. You should have something that looks like that. Next, I cut down a piece of black cardstock to 4¼ by 5½ inches, and this should lay perfectly on top of your easel card base. I have my Crafter's Companion Dotty Tape pen, and on the very bottom edge of this is where I'm going to put my tape. Now I'm going to place this on top. I'm just going to line it up just like that. And this is what helps to make our easel card. The next layer that I cut out of a piece of white cardstock is 3½ inches by 4¾ inches. And this will lay right on top of when we're ready to mat our card together. I've got my piece of cardstock in the Misti tool, and the first stamp that I'm going to be using is this big, beautiful bee from the Be Happy stamp set. I'm just going to lay some pieces of tape down on the actual Misti so I'll know where to lay my paper when I need to bring it back in to stamp it again. Lay this down. The other stamp set, I'm going to be using this beautiful flower. I'm just going to be laying this in at the corner. Also going to be using the Happy and the Bee stamp. What I'm creating is a happy birthday card. And sometimes we switch it up and say Happy Bee Day instead of Happy Birthday. I thought it would be clever to make a Happy Bee Day card. And once I have everything looking like how I want it, I'm just going to pick all that up with my Misti, and I'm going to stamp all these images with my Gina K Designs amalgam ink in the color Obsidian. I'm going to use the same flower for the upper corner. So now I've got a lot of my images already stamped, and another thing I wanted to stamp on here is I want this to say Happy Bee Day for Happy Birthday, and I had to steal from another stamp set. I need the word day from this sentiment. I'm going to take this sentiment and line up where I want the word day to be. I'm going to pick that up with my Misti tool. One trick to this is I want to just stamp the word day, but I don't want the rest of the words. So I'm just going to take a piece of Pixie tape and I'm going to put it over top of the other words that I don't want to stamp. And then I'm going to go in with my ink on just the word day. I'm just going to remove my tape and stamp my image. Next, I'm going to be using this image from the Be Happy stamp set. That I'm going to be using is the Gina K color in Honey Mustard. The images are absolutely stunning. But next, I'm going to go in with some Gina K ink in the color Sea Glass. And when adding the color and shading to this, I'm putting highs and lows in with this, so there's going to be a little bit of brighter color and just mixing it up to give it a very almost sky looking background. Now for adding a little bit of pop of color to this card, I'm going to be using the Spectrum Noir metallic flip markers. And if you haven't tried these, you are missing out on something really great. The first marker that I'm going to be using is in the color Moonlight, and you're going to want to make sure to shake up your marker. And with these, they have a small nib on the end of these markers, and you need to push in on them to make sure you start the flow of the liquid. If it gets to where you feel like there's not enough of the marker fluid coming out of the end of the nib, just push it down on a separate sheet of paper to get it flowing again. And once I show you this up close, you are just going to be absolutely amazed at what this looks like. These markers are so easy to use, and it genuinely looks like a foiled image now. And I can't wait to show you some more of the colors. These colors that I'm going to be using are called Nebula and Lunar. I'm going to use Nebula on the flowers and Lunar on the wings. And the reason for these being called flip markers is because depending upon how the light hits them, the colors can look completely different. And especially if you use these markers on black cardstock versus white cardstock, it can completely give you a different look, and it's absolutely gorgeous. I just wish you could see these colors in person because they are absolutely stunning. And then I'm going to go in with a Pigma graphic marker, and I'm going to create my little hyphen right here. I just want you to take in how gorgeous these colors are. Look at that pop of purple, the silver shimmer on the wings. This looks so foiled. I'm not even kidding you. It looks beautiful. Now I'm going to add this final layer to my easel card base. Now for the bottom, we have to create our stopper for the easel card, and this helps it to stand up. On the inside of the card, I'm just going to open it up, and I'm going to hit around all these edges with the Gina K Sea Glass ink. So I just added this blue edging to the inside of the card with this American Crafts glitter tape, and you can see the beautiful shimmer. I'm going to be adding 2 strips of this to the bottom of the card, and the backing just peels off so you can stick it down. And now you can see how I put my glitter tape on the card. For anyone that recently bought the Big Shot Switch Plus, with that machine came these hexagon dies, and I cut one out of this die. With the smallest of the set, I cut out 2 of those. So I ended up with these 3 pieces that I'm going to be inking and stamping on. So I've colored both of these die cuts with the Gina K ink in the color Honey Mustard. And as you can see, I've got some darker colors and some lighter colors going on, and that just gives a lot of dimension to the shapes. So I love the way that looks. For the bigger shape, I'm just going to edge it lightly in the color Honey Mustard. And when you're card making, don't worry about the edges being perfectly blending, because the imperfections are what give the card so much character and really bring it to life. I'm going to use my amalgam ink in the color Obsidian. Lay it down just like this and just move it, and it creates a black edge. And you can see the fun detail that that adds to our die cut. So I'm just wrapping up a piece of the Pixie tape, and I'm going to stick it on the back of my die cut to hold it down while I'm stamping on it, because while I was moving my stuff into the new craft space, I lost my sticky grid. Normally I would have put sticky grid on the back of these to hold them down, and I can't find it. I have not found my sticky grid yet, so that puts me in a bind because I love using my sticky grid with my Misti. I'm going to be stamping this cute little bee, and when I'm stamping this, I'm going to stamp it at the opposite as what I put my bee on the card. So the bee is going in this direction. I'm going to stamp him in that direction. And I'm going to be coloring him with the same colors that I used on the main card front. Now I'm going back in with this shape. So we've got all of these and our little bee. I'm going to color him, and I'm going to be right back. This little bee is going to be the stopper for my easel card. I'm going to be using the 3D Kohl glue gel, and I put my glue gel into a syringe to make it easier to apply, but you can apply your stopper however you want, just as long as you're raising the image. So we're going to glue this down, and we don't want it pushed all the way down. We want to keep it raised because that is our stopper. And then I'm going to put a little bit of gel on the back side of these and put them on the sides. And now you can see the final look of our card. I just love that shine. Look at it. So beautiful. Now, as I mentioned before, the markers, if you use these on different color cardstock such as black, it's going to give you a totally different look. So I made a card that I'm going to show you. The only thing that I changed for this card is I used Tim Holtz Picket Fence ink for the bee and for the edging on the flowers, but I just want to get this really close. So this is done on black cardstock, but you can see how the purple changed color. It's a little bit different of a color. The gold's coming out a different shade. The silver in the bee wings is taking on a complete different color. And then of course the gold on the actual bee. So those are the same colors, just on a black card base. If you're new to my channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and hit that notification bell so you'll always get new notifications when I upload content. So hit that like button, it really helps out my channel a lot, and leave me a comment below and let me know, what do you think of these two cards? I also want to know, do you own any of these beautiful stamp sets from the new releases of Visible Image? Do you own any of the Spectrum Noir flip markers? Those things are absolutely amazing, and I'm excited to hear if you have them in your stash or not. So I kept the bottoms of the card completely the same, except for the inside is black. For the sides, I colored these in Wild Honey. The Picket Fence ink I used to color the bee and stamp all the images. The background color is done in broken china. I changed up just a few things on the card, and what's fun is depending upon what you stamp this in, this white can take on a totally different appearance. This bee right here is stamped in the unicorn pigment ink. And you can see a difference. This is much brighter and whiter than the picket fence ink. So depending upon the look that you're after, you can totally change that up just by changing your ink. So leave me a comment below, and I hope you really enjoyed this video, and I will catch you in the next video.